Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week 16 of your SAT Math Prep. Those of you that are in pre-AP Algebra 2, welcome back to the sophomore line of work. The juniors are doing something different this week, so they are on to the next thing. I know there's a few juniors that are in these groups that are based on Algebra 1. You are going to continue to work through the Algebra 1 level videos. And the pre-AP students, we're going to be using this as a review of some major Algebra 1 topics over the next couple weeks. So again, we've been through this before. Please make sure you're getting your name on the name line, first and last name. Make sure you are circling your teachers' names and your class names, and that may be more than one. That's perfectly fine. So we're spending another week here. We spent last week talking about exponent rules. We are doing that again this week. So just as a reminder, when we deal with exponents like 2 to the third power are indicating repeated multiplication. Means we take 2 and we multiply by itself 3 times. Okay? We have several rules that go along with that. The product rule, which says if I have 2 exponentials being multiplied together with the same base, I will add the exponents. The quotient rule, which says if I have 2 exponentials that I am dividing with the same base, I will subtract the exponents, top minus bottom. The power rule says that if I have an exponential being raised to a second power, I would multiply those exponents. Then we have the negative exponent rule, which says if I have a negative exponent, I can move that item to the other side of the fraction. If it's negative on top of a fraction, it would be positive on the bottom. If it is negative on the bottom, it would be positive on the top. And then finally, the zero power property, which says that anything to the 0 power must equal 1. So we're going to go through 15 more examples. It will be relatively rapid fire as we go through those 15 examples of using these various rules with each other and what order we should do stuff in as we go. And then your skill check will again be 15 questions just like it was last week. These are going to be relatively rapid fire, so make sure you got those rules written down. We're going to go through the first 6 examples here, and then we will change and do the rest. So on number 1, we're asked to do 2m squared times 2m cubed. That would require us to multiply the coefficients together, 2 times 2, and then since both bases are m, we would be adding those exponents. So 2 times 2, m to the 2 plus 3 power, which would be 4m to the 5th power. Okay, negative 4x to the negative third times 2x squared. Well, that would mean that we're multiplying negative 4 times 2. And then the exponents, we would be adding negative 3 plus 2. That would be negative 8, x to the negative first. Remember that it is not proper to leave negative exponents, so we would move that x to the negative first to the bottom, and that would give us the answer negative 8 over x. Number 3, 2k to the 4th times 4k to the 1st. We would do 2 times 4, and then we would add the 4 and the 1 together as exponents, which would give us an answer of 8k to the 5th. Number 4, 2y squared times 3x. Well, we would do 2 times 3. Unfortunately, neither one of those variables has the same base, so we would just write xy squared attached to that. So our answer should be 6xy squared. Number 5, we have 4a cubed b squared times 3a to the negative 4th b to the negative 3rd. So we do 4 times 3, and then on the exponents, we add the like exponents. So it would be a to the 3 plus negative 4, b to the 2 plus negative 3. So that would be 12, a to the negative first, b to the negative first. Remember that we never leave negative exponents, so we would move both a to the first and b to the first to the bottom, or negative first to the bottom, where they would become positive first. So we should have 12 over AB. Finally, on number 6, we have x squared to the 0 power. Well, it doesn't matter what's inside the parentheses. If the parentheses are being raised to the 0 power, that item automatically is equal to 1. So there's your first 6 examples. Make sure you've got those written down. And then we will move on and do the other 9 examples so that you have lots and lots of options to look at as you work through your skill check. Okay, folks, so again, we have to be comfortable using all of our rules. We have to be comfortable using them in the correct order, using order of operations. Okay, similar to PEMDAS, there are rules for what order we do things in with exponents. All right, let's take a look at the other 9 examples here. Let's get those lined up. So starting on number 7, we have 4r to the 0 to the 4th. Well, first of all, r to the 0 is equal to 1, which basically means we can drop it and just write this as 4 to the 4th power. Well, that's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. It doesn't matter what order we multiply those in, so let's do 16 times 16. That would be 256. On number 8, it says 3x to the 4th power. Remember that would be 3 to the 4th power, x to the 4 times 4 power, or 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, x to the 16th. Again, it doesn't matter what order we add those or multiply those in. So if we multiply 3 times 3 twice, we get 9 times 9. 9 times 9 is 81, x to the 16th power. On number 9, we can apply that negative exponent right away. Negative first power on top means we can take that entire expression and move it to the bottom of the fraction, where it would be equal to a positive exponent. When we raise that to the positive first power, that does not change anything, so our answer should be 1 over 2b to the 4th power. Number 10 is similar. We apply that negative first exponent right there. We move the entire expression to the bottom of the fraction, giving us 1 over 2x to the 4th y to the negative 3rd to the 1st power, which again means that we have that expression on the bottom. Now that negative 3 exponent on the y is not appropriate, so we need to move it back up to the top where it becomes positive and gives us our final answer of y to the 3rd over 2x to the 4th. Number 11 is the first time we have seen our quotient rule in practice. Remember that the coefficients themselves become a fraction. In this case, 1r squared over 2r cubed would be 1/2 r to the 2 minus 3 power, or 1/2 r to the negative 1st. Once again, negative exponents would not be appropriate, so we would move the r from the top to the bottom, where it would become positive first power, giving us an answer of 1 over 2r. On number 12, 3n to the 4th over 3n to the 3rd, we would divide 3 by 3 and then subtract the exponents top minus bottom. That would be 1n to the 1st, or simply n. Number 13, 3x to the negative 4th over x cubed. Again, we would apply our quotient rule, which says that we subtract the exponents, negative 4 minus 3. That would give us 3x to the negative 7th. Again, that is a negative exponent, so we should move that negative exponent to the bottom of the fraction where it becomes a positive exponent, giving us our final answer of 3 over x to the 7th power. On number 14, we have an x to the 0 power that can be dropped because it is equal to 1, which means we're looking at 4 over 4, and then we've still got y to the negative 2nd, z to the 3rd, and we have an x on the bottom, which would be x to the negative 1st. 4 over 4 is 1. The z cubed would stay on top. The y to the negative 2nd would move to the bottom and become positive, and we would put the x to the 1st back on the bottom as well. So z cubed over y squared x would be the correct answer. You can have the 1 or you cannot have the 1. It does not make any difference. Okay, on this last one, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm just going to apply the quotient rule to all 3 variables. So we have the 3, and then we have x to the 3 minus negative 4. We have y to the negative 1 minus 0, and we have z to the negative 1 minus 0. So that would be 3x to the 7th, y to the negative 1st, z to the negative 1st, or 3x to the 7th over y to the 1st, z to the 1st, or 3x to the 7th over y, z. Okay, so there's 15 more examples of applying our various exponent rules. At this point, we have finished the guided notes. Please use those guided notes to complete the skill check that your proctor will now provide to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it is very, very hard to pay attention through these videos and take all these notes. Remember that your effort in these sections will pay off when it comes time to take the SAT your junior year. So, use these guided notes. You are not going to turn the guided notes in. You're going to keep the guided notes to complete the skill check, which you will turn in the skill check at the end of plug time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your continued attention and effort.